Hi, everybody. Welcome to A Muggle's Guide to Hogwarts, where we are exploring the Harry Potter series with the ultimate Muggle, someone who has never read the books, never seen the movies, and never wanted to, until I asked her to, very nicely, for this podcast. That's Becki.
It's me.
Becki. We finished Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Sure did.
It's not a long book.
No.
But it took us a while. Because of real life things, guys.
Yeah.
Real life gets in the way of
Yeah.
fun podcast things. But we finished it. We're going to talk about it. And then we're going to just talk about kind of how you feel overall about the series. You're 3 books in now.
I know, I'm like almost halfway.
Yeah.
Book-wise. Probably not like page number-wise or time commitment.
The books get a lot longer.
Time commitment-wise,
The books get a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's much more stuff happening in the later books.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. So last time we read, over the past week, we read chapters 19, 20, 21, and 22.
Yes.
So this was a long one.
And we had stopped, like chapter 18 ended kind of in the middle of a scene. We talked about it last time.
I know, that's why I
It was
should have added 19.
No, it's
to the
okay,
last
but
one.
it just like kind of picked up right where we left off.
So chapter 19 is called The Servant of Lord Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when basically Peter Pettigrew gets revealed.
Yes.
Yeah, so, well, I guess Snape bursts in at the end of the last chapter.
He does burst in. And we said at the end of the last chapter, I was like, was it Harry's invisibility cloak or was it another one that Snape just had lying around? And he said immediately, I found this laying around the Whomping Willow. So I think we can assume it was Harry's.
It was Harry's.
Yeah.
Can I just say that invisibility cloak is super helpful, and
Yeah.
I would use it all the time and just like bring it with me everywhere I went if I
Yeah.
was a Hogwarts
It
student.
can't weigh that much, right?
I'm sure not. They have bags and stuff that they carry around.
Do they? Do they have backpacks?
I don't know. In the movies, they don't have backpacks.
I was like, I don't think they do.
But like, find some. They're also wizards. Like, find somewhere to
I
hide
have
it.
some like inner cloak pockets.
Just have it with you at all times.
Yeah, it does seem very useful. And it's kind of like its own character in the book almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they forget about it most of the time. And then
Until it's convenient.
yeah, then they're like, oh yeah, it's time to break out my dad's old cloak. And I don't know. I would take that thing with me everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, so Snape bursts in and he's like, aha! I caught all of you at the scene of the crime.
Right.
And then they all stun him.
Right. Well, that was cool. Like, Harry was like, Expelliarmus, but then he was like, and there were more voices, and it was Ron and Hermione, and that's kind of cool. They were all like coordinated, but they didn't know they were coordinated.
At this point in the story, I don't think Harry's totally convinced that Sirius Black isn't like an evil person.
Okay.
And so Snape does a little speech, and he's like, these guys are terrible people, and Lupin was helping. I knew Lupin was helping Sirius the entire time get into the school.
But Snape was helping Lupin by making his potions. He was like, I don't know, it seems like they were kind of buddies.
I don't know, but
Okay.
I know that Dumbledore asked Snape to make the potions for Lupin.
Mm-hmm.
And Lupin knows that he's a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe it's like a begrudging respect because they're colleagues.
Sure. Okay.
But like they don't like each other because Lupin was a part of James Potter and Sirius Black's friend group at school, and they like terrorized Snape.
Right. Well, the whole chapter is kind of like another big information dump chapter where they're like, Peter Pettigrew was really the secret keeper. And then Harry's like, what about this? And I don't believe you. And what about this? And the kids keep on being like angry and like questioning them. And then they just have to like reveal another layer and another layer and another layer. And it's kind of just a whole chapter of them just talking.
That's pretty much it. And it's not until like the end of the chapter that he's like, oh, okay, I trust you guys.
Yeah.
I guess.
He's like, I guess I believe it.
After Pettigrew turns into himself, like Scabbers the rat that has been with Ron
His
for a
whole
very long
life,
time.
right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
turns into an actual person, and then they convince him that Peter Pettigrew was the secret keeper. But then like Sirius still feels responsible for his parents' death. So this is a weird one too. Like he told Harry that he was responsible for his parents' death, like that he killed his parents essentially, because he feels responsible because he convinced them, Harry's parents, to make Peter the secret keeper and not him.
Why did he do that?
Why did he make him secret keeper?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty dumb move. But the book, the explanation in the book is that Voldemort wouldn't suspect that a I guess a weak kind of coward would be the secret keeper.
So that it was just too obvious for Sirius to be the secret keeper and Voldemort would just go after
I think
him.
that's it, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
But I'm also Sirius.
But he's not trustworthy.
Sirius, why would you tell Harry that you killed his parents when you clearly didn't kill his parents? You just feel responsible for their deaths. That's a very different thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird that they would choose to trust Peter Pettigrew, who's I guess they were friends, but clearly he's a weaker wizard in many respects.
Yeah.
And just odd.
Yeah. So the plot kind of unravels. We see behind the curtain. We see how all of these animal creatures are connected. I've been trying to figure this out for a while, this animal theme, and we have this werewolf, we have this dog / Sirius Black, we have Scabbers / Peter, and then also Crookshanks is there. And I want to talk about Crookshanks for a minute because I just kept on expecting Crookshanks to be revealed as an animagus. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Animagus as well. And he's not. He's just a cat. But I have one thing I wanted to point out about Crookshanks, which is really interesting. I mean, Crookshanks is clearly a very smart cat, right? That's why they say they're he's highly intelligent. He knew that something was up with Scabbers from the beginning. They are oh, that's why he was been kind of attacking him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Crookshanks can tell that the rat is really a person. So he tries to attack him. But Crookshanks can also tell that the dog the dog is a person, right? The big black dog, but chooses to be friends with him.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. I guess it's more just sensing the good or the evil in them, whether or not they're a person or an animal. Is that what you take away from it?
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't really know much about Crookshanks. I don't think much is revealed.
Okay.
But yeah, somehow Crookshanks the cat can determine. I guess it's a magical cat, right?
Is it?
I'm assuming so because he knows all of these things about all these people.
I thought maybe it was an intuitive cat. Also, the cat stole the passwords.
That's what I mean. It's got to be a magical
not an
cat,
animagus,
right?
But I don't know.
It's got to be a magical cat because it's very intuitive, but cats can't be that. It's communicating with Black.
Right.
It knows from the very beginning that Scabbers is not what Scabbers is pretending to be. It knows to steal passwords to get into.
Yeah, he's we've been working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything happens with Crookshanks beyond this point.
Wow.
Crookshanks is always Hermione's cat.
Oh,
and
okay, he stays?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And every once in a while he gets brought up again, but I don't think he ever does anything again. It's just a magic, I'm assuming it's a magic cat that plays a minor role in this book.
Yeah. I just think it's odd that we have these two characters that are animals that Crookshanks knows are people but has completely different reactions to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get it too. But because Wormtail is evil, Peter Pettigrew is evil because he is a servant of Voldemort.
Right.
And yeah, I think Crookshanks is just intuitive in that way and knows that Peter Pettigrew is evil and knows that Sirius Black isn't evil.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the explanation.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I don't like Crookshanks the cat. I'm sorry to all the cat lovers out there. I do love cats, but I don't like the character for some reason.
It reminds me of like an old crotchety man.
Yeah.
Cat form.
I don't like it.
Not your fave? Okay.
Not my favorite. That was pretty much chapter 19.
Yes.
Because it's just like the reveal that Peter Pettigrew is Scabbers, and then it's convincing Harry and the other kids that Sirius Black isn't evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And chapter 20 is called The Dementor's Kiss.
Right. So they all have to go back to the castle.
Right.
And they like knock Snape out in some way.
When they all Expelliarmused him at the same time,
yeah,
that knocked him out.
Okay.
And so they're going to bring him back up to the castle on like a magical stretcher.
But I thought it was saying it was like he had like puppets for strings.
Yeah, it wasn't. I guess
like
it wasn't like a
Weekend
a
at Bernie's.
stretcher,
like
yeah.
Snape's just like has these strings attached to him, but he's unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah. They all like walk back through the tunnel. They're going back to the school, and Sirius is excited because he thinks he's going to be free once they turn Peter in.
Mm-hmm.
But then basically all hell breaks loose.
They're all also chained together in a weird way. Like Harry calls it like a weird six-legged race or something. Because Lupin and Ron, and because Ron has a broken leg,
mm-hmm.
Lupin, Ron, and Peter Pettigrew are all chained together as they're walking.
Don't you think they could just do magic and fix Ron's leg
Well,
right there?
they said that they wouldn't be able to do it as well as Madame Pomfrey. So they were just like, we'll just do this temporary thing and take you back to the hospital.
Okay.
But
that
yeah,
makes sense.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how hard it is. So
Yeah, you're not a witch.
I'm not yet.
Not yet.
So they go through the tunnel. They come up near the Whomping Willow, right? Because then they're outside again.
Yeah.
And then the clouds move. And then they're like, I forgot it was a full moon.
Oh, no.
The one night I can't be out here. And I
Fucking
forgot to take my potion.
Lupin didn't track that shit?
Yeah, I feel
the
like that
one
would
thing
be
he's supposed to do?
I feel like that would be kind of top of mind if I was a werewolf.
I feel like several people that were in that scene in the Shrieking Shack should know it's a full moon. Like,
yeah,
Lupin especially should know. And
should be like, oh, I can't be outside tonight.
yeah, he should know. He should know. Like, he should map them all out on a calendar and just have the calendar and look at it every day.
Set an alarm. I'm sure there's a spell for setting an alarm.
You should probably know when it's going to be a full moon. And also, like, Hermione would probably know. She's a fucking genius.
Yeah.
And she already figured out that he's a werewolf. So if I had a teacher werewolf, I would probably be tracking the full moons. And I don't know. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like in Harry Potter especially, like, astronomy is important and maybe astrology. I don't think there's astrology classes, but there's, it's important to, I think, certain types of magic to know about that stuff. So weird that he forgot. And so he transforms into a werewolf and all hell breaks loose. It's crazy.
Yes. One other thing that's revealed that is really sweet and special that got me a little emotional was that Sirius Black is actually Harry's godfather and that he offers to let him come live with him instead of living with the Dursleys.
Yeah, isn't that really nice?
Oh my gosh, that made me so happy.
The last ray of hope for Harry before it's all dashed.
I never want him to go back.
I know. He's going to.
Yeah. Oh, don't ruin it for me.
You already finished the book.
But so,
anyway.
So Lupin starts turning into a werewolf.
Yeah.
But he's chained to Ron and Peter.
Mm-hmm.
But Sirius is like, everybody run. And Harry's like, but my friend. Sirius is like, I got it. And attacks Lupin, turns into a dog and attacks the werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And they get into a big fight.
Yep.
and the chains break somehow. And Peter Pettigrew scurries off.
He
somehow.
Transforms into a rat and runs away.
Yeah, which, I mean, smart move.
Yeah.
That's good. But what happens to Ron?
Ron gets knocked out by a charm. I think Peter Pettigrew steals his wand or steals someone's wand, and then he knocks Ron out. So Ron is unconscious or stunned.
Because it's just Harry and Hermione that really run off.
Yeah.
And then the Dementors come.
Yeah, so they go into the Forbidden Forest.
Okay.
Because Sirius Black fights the werewolf. The werewolf runs away, and Sirius Black follows the werewolf, and I think Black gets injured by the werewolf.
I thought they went into the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah, they go into the Forbidden Forest.
But Harry and Hermione, I thought, go by the lake.
I think it's in a section of the Forbidden Forest that's next to the lake or something, because they go in there. And does Hermione go with Harry? Because Harry follows. Does Hermione go with Harry? Oh, yeah. Harry and Hermione.
Yeah, I don't think they go into the Forbidden Forest. They're just on the lake shore.
You're right. Harry and Hermione run to the lake.
Yeah. And then the Dementors come around them, and they see across the lake.
They see all of the Dementors, 100 Dementors.
Yeah, so the Dementors are just coming around. It's kind of unclear whether they're coming around Sirius Black or whether they're coming around Harry, because they're all together now. So the Dementors are coming around. I guess you could assume they're there to take Sirius back to Azkaban, right?
They're looking for Sirius Black.
Yeah, but Harry and Hermione are both trying to do Patronus charms.
Yeah, and it's not working.
And Harry has his happy thought of living with his godfather, and it's not working.
And then Harry starts to fall unconscious, and he sees a bright light come that scatters all the Dementors at the last minute.
Yeah, but he's getting sucked down into that depression again, that terrible feeling. But I think they're going, I don't know, I feel like the Dementors are going after Harry at some point.
They're going after both Harry and Sirius. Yeah.
Yeah, and then then he kind of starts to go unconscious. Yeah, you're right. And then this big silver thing happens and causes the Dementors to scatter.
Mm-hmm. And
then he passes out.
This is the important part, though, is he sees the silver thing is in the shape of an animal.
Yeah.
And he sees it
come across the lake.
Go across the lake and then go back across the lake to somebody standing there, a person standing there. And then he falls unconscious.
Yes.
And that was the chapter. That was a pretty short chapter.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Action-packed, I would say.
Chapter 21.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Hermione's Secret. Mm-hmm. This is what you've been waiting for the whole time.
Yes, it is. So they're in the hospital wing when Harry regains consciousness, right?
Yeah. Basically the story then starts in the hospital wing. Ron's there because he's been stunned and knocked unconscious. Everyone else is there and Harry's there and he's waking up.
How come Ron never gets to take part in the final end game?
I forget why he's injured. Maybe he's still
his leg is broken.
Oh, his leg's broken. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Although I feel like Madame Pomfrey can just wave her wand and fix his leg in seconds. But,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
And then the big reveal happens about Hermione.
Yes, Dumbledore comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some quick, confusing wink, wink, nod, nod comments made.
Between Hermione and Dumbledore.
Yeah. And we're all just kind of what? But he doesn't really explain anything. And then it all gets revealed. And I have to say that my whole Galaxy Quest prediction thing was not that far off.
It really wasn't, actually.
It really is not that far off. I predicted that things would go very wrong and that then they would get to travel back in time and get to relive the day or part of the day to fix everything. It did happen slightly differently than I thought, though, because so Hermione's I have this thing, this necklace.
It's called a time turner.
A time turner. Dumbledore said 3 turns should do it or something like that. So I guess it's like a turn per hour that you want to go back in time. So, and it's also, this is one weird thing that I had a question about. It's midnight. It's like a couple minutes to midnight when they start this. Like Dumbledore says like, 3 minutes to midnight or something like that.
Okay.
And they go back 3 hours and it's before Buckbeak's thing. Like it's before sunset.
So if it's 3 hours to midnight, then it's 9 o'clock.
That seems really late for sunset
and
for me.
if it's 3 minutes before 9, then it's 8:57.
That was some good math.
Thank
babe.
you. So, I don't know.
That seems
When's
really.
the sunset?
I don't know. Maybe England is more northern. Maybe, and it is summer. Maybe the sunset's really late there. But to me, I was like, I feel like they would have had to go back like 6 hours for this timeline to make sense. But I'm sure it's right.
I think, yeah. I mean, one of the questions is why don't they just go back like way more and then they can change things easier or something. But I guess that increases the risk that you're going to be seen by yourself or cause some kind of weird problem like that. Yeah.
So anyway, that confused me a little bit because I was like, wait a second. They're only going back 3 hours, but it's well before sunset. Anyway, the thing I didn't think about, so I thought that they were going to be able to just relive the last few hours with the knowledge that they have, but that's not the case. No. They're like going back and watching themselves, which is kind of crazy, kind of cool.
Yep.
But they have to like hide from themselves. But they know where they're going, so they can avoid themselves.
They should be able to, yeah.
Yeah, they should be able to.
So they go back 3 hours to about sunset when they're going to kill Buckbeak. And this is why they had to wait till sunset to kill Buckbeak.
Right.
So they go down to Hagrid's hut and they like see the events unfold where they go in and then it's followed by McNair and by Cornelius Fudge and then Dumbledore. And
then they untie Buckbeak.
Yes. So you were like, Buckbeak can't die. They have to save Buckbeak.
Duh.
So they end up untying Buckbeak and taking Buckbeak like away, like into the forest, I guess. And then in the original timeline, the kids were walking back up to the castle and they heard the axe come down. And so it was like...
Right, but they still heard the same sound. It said that the executioner threw the axe at the fence in frustration.
Yes. Yeah.
So did they even change anything? They don't know. They didn't see what happened before.
Well, I think this form of time travel is...
Nothing really changes.
Whatever happened. Yeah. You can't change it. Except for what?
Yeah, actually, nothing changes because we don't know what happens to Sirius yet in the original timeline.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So that's a bigger conversation.
So it's kind of like... What they're doing with their time travel, I guess, is helpful because does Dumbledore say that they can save Buckbeak as well?
Yeah, he's like, if you play your cards right, you can save two lives. Yeah.
So,
but that just kind of means that he knows.
Yeah, Dumbledore's like a really smart wizard. He's been around a long time.
But that kind of means it already happened.
What, Buckbeak being killed? Yeah,
no, being alive.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this form of time travel is, yes, like you said, everything that you do already happened, so it doesn't really change anything, but you had to go back and do it so that it happened. It's like the movie Deja Vu, where everything that you're trying to do to save something actually just caused the original timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And they actually don't do a whole lot when they go back in time.
I was like, this is what you're going to do with this crazy magical power?
They save Buckbeak.
They just kind of follow themselves around.
Yeah.
They're like, let's just watch.
They save Buckbeak, and then they basically just kind of hide and watch. And they watch themselves go into the Whomping Willow.
Right, but they don't follow there. They're just like, now we just have to wait like 2 hours until we come back out.
They just stand there and wait.
I hope they brought snacks or something.
They literally just hang out for a while until they come back out. And then they're not really sure what to do, I don't think. They're like, okay, now we see the werewolf transformation. We see Black chasing the werewolf down by the lake.
Oh, right. But then they were like, oh, the werewolf is running directly at us in this new timeline, right? They had to run because, so that is, in the original timeline, that's why the werewolf ran into the Forbidden Forest, presumably, to go eat those children that he saw.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they run off. Harry runs across the lake because he's thinking about this figure, this shadowy figure he saw across the lake with the silver animal that he originally described like a unicorn. And he's like, oh, it looked so familiar. Like, it looks like these photos of my dad that I've seen. And he like can't help himself. He's like, I have to go see. Like, I know this is crazy, but I have to go see who this was over across the lake.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, I see what's happening. So he goes across the lake and he's like hiding in a bush or something. And he's like waiting and he's waiting. And Hermione's not with him anymore. I think she went a different way. He's waiting and he's waiting and he's seeing the Dementors and he's seeing himself and Sirius Black and Hermione in the original timeline. And he's like, where is this guy? When's this guy going to show up to send the Patronus? And it takes him a really long time to figure out that it's him. That he's the guy across the lake that has to make the Patronus spell.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, great. And then he does it. And he says later, he's like, because I had done it, I knew I could do it. Which is kind of just an interesting theory.
That was like his happy thought was that he knew he could do it. I guess he was like instilled with the confidence and the happiness that he knew he would be saving himself and Sirius in that moment.
Right.
Because he had that realization that it was him.
Because it had already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he sent the Patronus to save himself.
And Sirius. Do you know what it was? What form it took?
Yes. It was a stag. Which is like a deer.
Yes.
With antlers.
Yes.
Which are prongs.
Yes.
It wasn't a hippogriff.
It wasn't a hippogriff. So something cool about Patronuses. So that was a Patronus charm. Something cool about Patronuses in Harry Potter is that when you're advanced enough in making a Patronus, they take on some shape, some animal form, which is different from Animagus. They take on your own kind of personal animal form that I guess encompasses some characteristics or traits of who you are. And so later in the series, Patronuses come up more and they're used more. And we get to see what all different people's Patronuses look like. So I wanted to do a quiz about what your Patronus would be, but I think we should wait for when we read some of those later books and that comes up more. I think it's too early to do that. But so we're going to do that later.
Okay. But Harry's Patronus is not the same as his dad's Patronus. It's the same as his dad's Animagus.
Yes.
Or his dad's alter animal creature.
Yeah. His dad turned into a stag.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
His dad
which he
turned
didn't
into
know,
a stag.
though. Which is
no, he didn't know.
Yeah.
His dad turned into a stag, and his Patronus took the form of a stag.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty cool. And then it's over. Then they're back. They go back to the hospital.
Yeah. The next chapter is them running back to the hospital and trying to get there.
They have to slip in at just the right time, so it looks like they were never there or never gone. I mean, Buckbeak. Oh, they take Buckbeak up to get Sirius Black.
Oh, right.
That's the other
thing. They go and get Sirius Black.
He's up in a tower. They have Buckbeak somehow. Maybe Hermione goes to get Buckbeak. I don't know. And they have to like ride him up to the tower. They get Sirius Black. They have to get back to the hospital wing, and Sirius Black has to fly off with Buckbeak and pretty much go into hiding because everyone thinks he is still a bad person.
Because Peeves or it's not Peeves.
Peeves?
Because Pettigrew escaped. So Peter Pettigrew
Yes.
escaped, so he has no like out. He has no alibi.
He can't prove
Yeah.
anything. Peter, and he's
So-
just going to be a rat somewhere.
Yeah. So Sirius Black has to escape on Buckbeak and go into hiding. And so Harry can't go live with his godfather.
Well, he could maybe like in
hiding,
secret.
in secret?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Secret message.
Maybe.
I feel like they could figure it out.
Maybe.
No Voldemort though.
Yeah, Voldemort doesn't show up in this book.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? You
That
thought
is
the whole
weird.
time
Well,
Voldemort was
yeah.
going to come up based on the previous 2 books.
Well, I guess Pettigrew's like the servant of Lord Voldemort, but it's not the same as the last 2 times when Voldemort's been like
Literally
embodied
showed up, yeah.
by some other
Yeah.
person or object.
No Voldemort.
Wow.
No Voldemort. And then Lupin quits
Yeah.
because
I would too if I had almost killed some kids.
he's like, yeah, I'm a werewolf. I don't think anyone's going to want me to be a teacher anymore. And he gives Harry the Marauder's map back, and he gives him his invisibility cloak, and then he leaves. And that's essentially the end of the book, except one other thing happens is like at the end they take the train back, and Ron's like, the Quidditch World Cup is this summer.
Oh.
We're gonna go and watch it together.
Does that come into play in the next book?
Yeah, that's in the next
Oh,
book.
cool.
That's in the next book. I think that's pretty much it.
Well, and then very last kind of like tie-in to complete the book is that Harry gets a letter from Sirius Black, a permission slip to go to Hogsmeade whenever he wants.
Right. And he reveals that he bought the firebolt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice.
With all of that money that he saved while he was in Azkaban.
Yes.
He's rich too. Everyone's rich in this book except for Ron.
I know. And then Ron gets an owl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Sirius sends Harry a letter from an owl, and Harry gets the letter, and Ron gets to keep the owl. And everybody is happy.
Everything works out in the
Yay.
end. Yeah. That's the end of the book.
That's it.
Wow.
That was nice.
What'd you think?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Was
liked
it better than the first 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. A lot of people really like this book.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think it really kicks off the actual plot because now there are some moving pieces behind the scenes. We know that Peter's out there. We know a little bit about Harry's past and his father and that group.
Yeah.
And it actually hints at a little bit deeper stuff
Yes.
than the first 2 books.
It definitely feels deeper than the other books.
Yeah. The books continue and they actually start to follow a very clear plot line all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you more on board now with the Harry Potter series than you were after the first 2?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So do you want to read the next book and see what happens?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So this is what we might do. We're probably going to watch the movie at some point. And when we do,
I heard the movie is very fun.
yeah, the movie is a new director.
Okay.
So it's a totally different feel, entirely different feel. And also Dumbledore dies.
What?
No, the actor
sorry. I was like, wait.
the actor that plays
second.
Dumbledore dies. And so they get a new Dumbledore.
But people don't like him as much as Dumbledore, right?
Well, you have to watch it and kind of make your own
I will make my own
your own
judgment.
conclusions.
I saw something really funny about the early movies, like on Instagram or something. I saw an interview with Hermione
Emma Watson.
And they were showing her clips from the first couple movies, and apparently she had this like really bad habit of mouthing other people's lines while they were talking. Have you ever noticed this?
No, but that's pretty funny.
She was like so into it, and she kind of like was a Hermione and knew everyone else's lines. So they showed like Harry's talking and she's like like just like mouthing his lines, even though she's really in frame too. So it's kind of weird. And then like Ron's talking and she's mouthing his lines. And she was like so embarrassed. She was like, I know, I kept on like ruining takes. And Chris would be like, Emma, you're doing it again.
I had no idea. That's hilarious.
So I guess that was like a thing. And they maybe like edited around it or didn't use those takes, but I think there's still some evidence of it. So I feel like I'm going to be looking for that now because that's really funny.
I bet that was pretty early on. That probably stops in the later movies.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, people love the third movie. We'll talk about that when we watch it.
Okay, we'll talk about it when we watch the movie. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for coming on this little journey with us. It's been really fun to read the books and talk about them and introduce Becki to the series. We are definitely going to take a little break. We have a lot of stuff coming up in our real lives, including our wedding. We're getting married.
Yeah.
And
actually, this is kind of interesting because we don't really talk about it on this podcast because it's not really part of it. But in the very first episode, I think I said, like, should we mention that we're dating or something like that? And you were like, sure, yeah, we're dating. It's fine. And what's funny about that is when we recorded that episode, we were dating. But by the time it came out, we were engaged. Like, it happened like 2 weeks after we recorded the first episode. But it like felt weird to like bring it up. Like, I don't know.
I don't think we've talked about it at all.
I don't think we really have either. I did want to ask you something though, kind of in relation to that.
Okay.
That I haven't asked you. So asking you for the first time.
I will marry you.
On the podcast.
I'll do it.
So we're getting married in a couple of months. And, you know, now that Harry Potter is kind of like a part of our lives and like something that we talk about, something we do together, do you want any kind of like nod to that at our wedding?
Like what?
Well, I don't know, because we have kind of like some books and like literary theme, but
I know you personally know Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Can you invite him? Can you get him to show up?
You want him to officiate?
Yeah.
He probably would if he was like in town.
I know Becki from that movie that we worked on for 11 days together.
It was more than 11
was
days.
Was it 18 days?
Yeah.
It was not that long.
We did film that movie very quickly.
Sure. I'll fly out.
Yeah, I'll have to tell him it's Ducky because he thought my name was Ducky for the first week. He was like, "Oh, Becki, that makes more sense."
I definitely think we should have a nod to
like
Harry
some
Potter
nod,
at our wedding.
We're not having a Harry Potter themed wedding. I'm sorry.
Also,
sorry.
Our wedding's on Star Wars Day.
Oh yeah,
May the 4th, but it's not
themed,
Star Wars
but
themed.
But it's also not Star Wars themed, and it's also not going to be Harry Potter themed. But we can figure out some little thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely figure something out.
Okay, and then we'll post a picture of whatever it is that we figure out.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. That's
cool.
it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Just follow us on Instagram or Twitter, or just check out our website, and we'll let you guys know when we're coming back. So stay tuned.
This has been fun.
This has been so much fun.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.